Welcome to Let's Clear the Air, a podcast sponsored by the Allergy, Asthma, and Sinus Center, dedicated to educating listeners about allergies, asthma, and immunology.
Well, welcome back to Let's Clear the Air, all things allergy, asthma, and immunology. I'm your host, Liz Edwards, and today I am joined by Dr. Poneh Heine, and she is one of our Georgia providers, and we are talking all things spring allergy today. It's so good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like it just, the pollen and everything, I feel like it just hit with a bang. And I'm in Nashville, and I know you're down in Georgia. I think you guys are a little bit ahead of us. But what are you seeing down there as far as what everyone is suffering from right now?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It did start a little bit earlier this year than it did last year. But yes, we're already seeing a bunch of the tree pollen. We're seeing a little bit of grass pollen, which usually doesn't start till later in the year. So we're already seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of oak tree, elms, maple, which we have tons of that stuff here, birch. So it's all out there for sure already.
My questions will be twofold. First, for someone who already knows they have allergies, what should they be doing right now? Like, what should we be managing at home, and when do we know it's time to come see you?
Sure. So, at this point, depending on the age of the patient, you already kind of know like what the seasons are, what your symptoms do throughout the year. If patients are considering whether or not they're tree allergic or pollen allergic, we highly recommend seeing a board certified allergist that's fellowship trained, just because having the information of what you're exactly allergic to is kind of helps navigate the entire next couple seasons that we're getting in all the pollen. So right now, I would say, if someone's going blindly and doesn't know what's going on, right now all they can do is medication, right? So there's the antihistamines, the nasal steroids, which is our gold standard to help with like nasal congestion and runny nose and sneezing. The antihistamines will help a little bit with runny nose and sneezing. And then you have the eye drops, you have montelukast that works in a different pathway to kind of help with inflammation. So with coughing and some of those nasal symptoms as well. But ultimately, seeing an allergist is important because we need to help decipher, is this more of an irritation reaction you're having, or is it truly, are you triggering that allergic pathway? And what that allergic pathway is basically, your body, from an allergy standpoint, sees these proteins that are within these pollens as something foreign. And so it sees it doesn't like it, it has formed an immune response to it. So once that pollen comes out, easily it attaches, that antibody that we have already to it, attaches to that protein, and it basically releases this inflammatory cascade, right? So it causes the nasal congestion, the runny nose, the stuffy nose. And even if you don't have seasonal stuff and you have more of the indoor allergens, that still can be problematic, because at baseline, if you have like the dust or animal allergy, you already have inflammation there. And then on top of it, you're getting some of the irritation from the environment outside as well. So it can kind of exacerbate everything. So basically, the most important thing is to try to figure out what your triggers are so that we can kind of start addressing the underlying issues that people may have for their symptoms, and not just band-aiding issues with medications.
And so that involves skin testing as one of the things that you do there in the office. Can you talk about that? What does that look like? Even if I'm not even exactly sure what I think I might be allergic to, what would an office visit look like with skin testing involved?
Sure. So for our initial visits, obviously we sit down, we get your clinical history. What has your patterns been? What are we concerned about? What does your indoor environment look like? Where do you live? Here in Georgia, we have a ton of trees, and the lake we have here as well in Gainesville, and that provides, its own problems with mold in the air. And so the first visit is, we just go over your clinical history and the symptoms. What have you tried? By the time they come to us, they've already tried everything. What is their goals for the future. And so if we're really trying to treat the problems, then skin testing is really important to help us with management. And so skin testing involves basically, it's a superficial skin prick, not needles, that automatically needles, that everybody thinks that we're just sitting here just needling everybody up. It is actually like a toothpick that we dip into the extract or the allergen, and then we scratch the surface layer of the skin, and it basically feels like a mosquito bite, and it's itchy if you're allergic. And we have the individual trees on there. We have grasses, we have weeds, we have dust mites, we have animals, we have cockroaches, and mold as well. So it's a variety of things but it's really important to do it all, because that way we can figure out, what is the underlying reason. And so that's the first step. And then if things are negative, we do tiny needles sometimes to confirm some of those negatives. Those are called intradermal. Basically, we can get you all the information you need within 15 to 30 minutes of a visit after doing that test. So you can walk out knowing what your allergens are. And that will help us actually guide us to as far as like the immunotherapy, which is the next step of things.
Right. And with immunotherapy, it's very much individualized. Can you speak to that as far as, how the individual serums are made for each patient?
Yes. So this is why we skin test, right? So that everything, we know that when you come in, what are all the things you're allergic to? Are you just allergic to the trees? Are you just allergic to grass? Are you polysensitized, meaning that you're allergic to multiple things? So the allergy immunotherapy, or allergy shots that it's commonly known as, basically is tiered to every person individually. And so we take what you are allergic to and we basically dilute it down, and then give it to your body slowly over your time to get your body to start normalizing it. It's basically teaching the immune system not to freak out. Okay, because right now your immune system's freaking out when it sees these allergen things and causing all these problems that cause fatigue and congestion and all of that. And so the allergy immunotherapy, basically over time we build immune tolerance so your body gets used to it, so that process doesn't happen, and so that it sees it as a normal thing, and so that you can live your day-to-day life without having all of those other symptoms.
And I think, I think a lot of people don't realize, that's getting to the root causes of what's causing all the congestion. But living on all those over-the-counter medicines for an extended period of time is really not good. It has so many other side effects that you wouldn't have to be dealing with, right?
Correct. And so, the antihistamines, can make some people drowsy. Sometimes they make people hyper. Sometimes they're drying. Then sometimes they're, they help to a little bit, but then they dry up your sinuses too much. And now you're dealing with the drying sinuses causing a problem. The nasal steroids. Steroids in general are not good for your body. Nasal steroids work locally, so they will help with that inflammation and hopefully not have as much systemic effects. But again, it's not ideal to be on medications. And the medications, all they do is stop the symptoms, and they work to a degree, right? At some point you hit a threshold where it doesn't help. Last year, our pollen counts were 8,000, 9,000. And when I say that, that means that per the pollen grains per cubic meter in the air. And so that was crazy last year. That was record highs that we were having last year. And so this year, being the fact that the pollen is already starting, we're not headed in the right direction either. And so there's only a certain amount of things that over-the-counter medication can provide. And, I was on allergy shots. Both of my children are on allergy shots. It's really the only thing is to help cure them so that your quality of life improves. And aside from that, people with allergies are more inclined to get sinus infections and just, get at baseline, if you're already inflamed and have a lot of stuff inflamed in your sinus passages, if you get a cold, it's going to hit you harder, right? So aside from just like regular allergy relief, it can help your whole quality of life as far as infections and stuff as well.
This is we try to emphasize, the most natural way to boost the immune system, because there's no medicine in the allergy shots. It's what you're allergic to.
Correct. It is the most natural way. It is literally what we have outside, but we do it in a form to make your body be able to slowly build tolerance to it and not freak out as much. It is the closest thing that we have to a natural way of building immune tolerance, the closest thing we have to a cure. It's not a full cure, but it's the closest thing we have to a cure to help with symptoms.
Well, I'm also a patient. My son went through immunotherapy years ago, and now he's not on anything. The improvement in the quality of life, you're so right. It's so measurable. And so we would really love to encourage anyone out there thinking that they are wondering what they're allergic to or wondering about immunotherapy. Would love for them to come in and see you and make an appointment and basically just get a game plan together.
Yeah, absolutely. My the daughter, so she's 8 now. She was having really bad eye symptoms with the season changes, and her oak tree pollen allergy and birch tree is so bad that actually a lot of people don't know this, but there's something called oral allergy syndrome. And so sometimes when people are very allergic to the pollen, they react to the associated fruits and vegetables to those pollens. And so my own daughter wasn't able to have apples very well without breaking out in her mouth or itching in her mouth, and carrots and good things that are good for you. She couldn't do. And so, we started her on shots, and she's so far, knock on wood, like she has had, and we just left, I actually left Charleston, South Carolina, which their pollen counts were crazy last weekend. We went there for spring break, and her eyes didn't itch at all. I gave her no medication. It was unbelievable. And she's been able to eat carrots again. So aside from, in my own experience, I'm seeing it in my daughter, I'm seeing it in my patients. It is certainly something that can be life-changing for everybody.
Thank you. I mean, that is so encouraging. What a testimony. We want to encourage anyone out there, if you are just even thinking about it or even on the fence, give us a call, or you can visit our website at allergyasc.com. Dr. Heine, thank you so much for being with us today. And, good luck down there in Georgia, keeping everybody healthy.
Same to you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Let's Clear the Air. Please consider following this podcast, and remember, if you want helpful and accurate information about allergies and asthma, our allergy experts are here to clear the air.